everybody, welcome to the Securicy Brief. Today we're going to talk about risk assessments. So a risk assessment is a tool that you use to make sure that you are making the best use of your time, budget, and energy in implementing security. So making sure you're focusing on the most important parts of your business. That is the goal of a risk assessment. So what I've done here is I've broken down 5 steps to conducting a risk assessment. But I want you to keep in mind that risk assessments are a pretty big deal. They're an important part of security. And for that reason, this is a very high-level introduction. We actually have some links below in the description of the video that can help you dive deeper into learning about how to do this properly for your business. So let's dive into it. 5 steps, starting with the most important, is your risk management team. So in a lot of small companies, that's going to be the same as your security team. And in larger companies, it might be a unique team that just focuses on risk management. But the key factors here that you need to have in your risk management team are, you need to have somebody that understands your data, your information, and your IT infrastructure. That is absolutely critical. You also need somebody that understands the threat landscape, has experience with risk management, and understands really how to implement controls and how to manage risk in general. So that expertise, that knowledge is really critical to have, whether that's somebody you have in your business already or a third-party consultant that can come in and help you with that. And then you need to have somebody there that has like the senior management side of this, so somebody who can make decisions and that understands the business goals from a very high level. Because again, this is about risk. So you're basically deciding through your risk assessment, where is the company going to spend its money and resources on security? The risk assessment is going to tell you that. Number 2, establish the scope. So this is basically where you build a registry of all of the different assets. And when I say assets, I mean everything from your people, your building, your computers, your web application, the systems and tools you use to serve your customers or sell. If you're a SaaS company, your web app would be one of your more critical assets. Any data sets that you use, any IP, any information, everything that you have is an asset. So everything that's important to your business is an asset. So list all those things and that will essentially be the scope. Those are the items that we're going to focus on when we dive into doing the actual assessment, which is the next step. Step number 3, perform the risk assessment. Again, I'm going high level. There's a big process here. But to give you a high level understanding, basically for every one of those assets, you're going to look at it and you're in the registry. So here's your risk or your asset, and you're going to look at what would happen if we lost the data, if confidentiality was violated. So the information in the asset was now made public. What would the outcome be? Score that outcome. What about integrity? So if the information being provided by a system was incorrect, what would the impact of that be? And then the final 3 is the availability. So for example, if you have an application that your customers use and it's a critical application in their business, what would happen if that application didn't work for hours, days, or weeks? So really understanding that'll give you the sort of importance ranking. And then you want to almost multiply that by what's the likelihood of something bad happening to that. So what is happening in the threat landscape? What types of techniques or activities are hackers doing currently that could violate or could cause you problems with that particular asset? And that's really where that security expertise and that understanding of risk assessments in the threat landscape is important on the team. And that's where you're going to get your score. And then you're going to be able to identify, of all these assets, where are we going to start, where are we going to put most of our energy? All right, number 4 is determining your risk treatment. So when you now have your registry, you have all the different things your assets that are important to your business, and you understand what can happen. And now you have to decide, what are you going to do? And your options are basically one of 4 things, or a sum of 4 things. You can accept the risk, and that's essentially where you look at it and go, hey, we don't think that this risk didn't score high, and we need this tool, and we're not really concerned about the threat because it's not that likely, and you're just going to accept that. And that's something that senior management has to really accept, understand, and decide that yes, we've vetted it, we've looked at it, we accept it. The other option is to transfer the risk, and that would be where you would use another organization or another system to transfer that risk off your plate. And an example of that would be, say you manage your own network internally. If you were to hire a managed service provider to do that, then you'd be transferring that risk, so they're now managing that. So you'd pick a qualified service provider that will come in and manage that risk. So that would be a transfer of risk. You can avoid risk, so that would be where you may actually change business processes or remove processes or remove an asset. And that's a great way to a very affordable way sometimes. Often when you go through a business, especially a business that's been around for a long time, you may find that there's a lot of tools that people use that they don't necessarily use, and you can really just sort of centralize things a little more, and that would be a scenario where you're avoiding risk. And then reducing risk is where you're actually going in and putting in controls and processes in your business to actually reduce the risks. And again, this is where having somebody with that security expertise on the team is going to be critical. Number 5, and this is really important, like all things in security, it's never a set it and forget it. You always have to make sure you have a cadence of monitoring and reviewing this. So going through and changing and updating as the company evolves. I like to do it every 6 months. Some companies, if they move really quickly, might do it in a shorter cadence, every 3 months, every quarter. Some companies do it every year. The key thing is what's going to work for you. You want to make sure that your risk assessments don't become updated. So as your company's evolving, you want to be looking back at these processes and making sure they're up to date and constantly improving upon them. So there you have it. To recap, the 5 steps to building a good risk management program for your business is build your team, establish the scope of the assessment, perform the assessments, determine your treatments in every case where you've identified risk, and then monitor and review and constantly improve the program. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Thanks a lot.